Greetings, wisdom, and health to you, friends. Today in the Samari Club we are going to take apart an actual and fascinating video about proper breakfast and tell you what is the most harmful thing to eat in the morning for breakfast and what is the most useful thing to eat in the morning. The video Conspiracy Theory: 5 Foods You Can't Eat for Breakfast was viewed by more than 11 million people on Russian Channel 1. And, of course, the recommendations in the video are given by respected world experts explaining why the first meal, if not the right one, can even cause a stroke. That's why we recommend that even the busiest people familiarize themselves with what will make you healthier and more energetic, at least in our shorter version, because it is very important for health and maybe even your life. By the way, and the very program Conspiracy Theory with Mikhail Mamiev is mega popular and interesting in the Russian-speaking society because it makes you do the usual things differently, and we will definitely leave a link to this episode in the comments so that you can watch in the whole. Well, we begin our short version of this video. You should always eat breakfast. And so, many have heard the saying since childhood that dinner should be given to the enemy, but breakfast should not be neglected. Those who do not eat in the morning run the risk of developing dangerous diseases. This is proven, of course, by British scientists. Specifically, they claim that people who eat breakfast, for example, are 40% less likely to suffer a heart attack. But unfortunately, and not everything is so simple, unfortunately, and what many people used to eat in the morning can lead to no less terrible diseases. That's right, because even improperly prepared healthy foods can become very harmful. Oatmeal on water, breakfast of a champion. And so, conspiracy theory experts say that instant oatmeal porridge, simply poured with boiling water or milk in the morning, is a very time-saving breakfast. But it is also full of fast carbohydrates, that is what is most often deposited on the sides in the form of fat. In addition, in 30 minutes you will want to eat again, because such oatmeal is also digested quickly. The healthiest, according to nutritionists, is the porridge made of whole oat grains, which are little popular in our country. But it is not very difficult to prepare such a traditional English breakfast. Pour 3 cups of oats in 3 cups of water and leave for 1 hour. Then cook for 1 hour, stirring with a wooden spatula. You can add bananas, apricots and sugar to the ready porridge. Or serve with butter, spices, cranberries, cinnamon and honey. Authoritative gastroenterologists say that the value of such a breakfast is in micronutrients and fiber. Slightly less useful will be our traditional oat flakes. It is best to buy Hercules. As for extra cereals, give preference to a cereal of large size, as it is written on the packet. It is a real breakfast of a champion. Cereal of medium size is suitable for those who have problems with the stomach or gallbladder. In addition, it is better to cook porridge with water rather than milk. Because oatmeal has phytic acid, which prevents the absorption of calcium from milk. That is why milk and oatmeal are practically incompatible products. And by the way, who likes to count, there are only 130 kilocalories in a 100-gram portion of such oatmeal. It is also recommended by experts not to use it every day, but to alternate it with other porridge for breakfast. Yogurt or curd? Another unpleasant fact for most people is that, if you are used to eating yogurt for breakfast, the benefits of it are almost zero. Nutritionists explain this by the fact that the stomach is sour in the morning. And the main value of yogurt is bifidobacteria, which, of course, in an acidic environment just die.
Subscribe to the Summary Club and watch short versions of the most popular and useful videos every day.
It is better to eat cottage cheese in the morning. This is the product that the world-famous cardiac surgeon Leo Beccaria has been eating in the morning for many years. It is his light breakfast, after which you won't want to sleep for sure. Of course, the best way to buy cottage cheese is not store-bought, but homemade. However, for the inhabitants of megacities it is not available. And once you have to buy cottage cheese, you need to look at its fat content. Ironically, skimmed cottage cheese has more protein than fatty and more expensive cottage cheese. For example, 18% fat cottage cheese has 14% protein. Skimmed cottage cheese has 18% protein. Although Leo Beccaria is sure that high fat content is not terrible either. Often high blood cholesterol does not prevent you from feeling great. And yet, it is optimal to buy cottage cheese 5% fat, eating it in the morning in combination with the same yogurt. What to drink for breakfast? Unfortunately, coffee, even natural and even high quality, to drink on an empty stomach will only be harmful. Such first liquid in the morning in the stomach produces a lot of gastric juice, which thins the shell of the stomach itself. At first it will be fraught with gastritis, and then the habit will provoke an ulcer. To neutralize the destructive properties of coffee, you can add a pinch of baking soda to it before brewing. This, as an alkali, will protect the stomach and neutralize the acidity of the coffee. Drinking coffee after a meal, by the way, is also not a good idea because the nutrients from the food will not be absorbed. As an option, you can inhale the aroma of coffee, you don't even have to brew it for this. But not to bother, it is better to drink coffee at least 30 minutes after breakfast or after any other meal. Are cheesecakes good or dangerous? These flavorful, beloved cheesecakes contain acrylamide, much to the dismay of most health-conscious people. It is a carcinogen, a cancer provocateur. Researchers have proved that the substance promotes tumors of reproductive organs. However, it's not all that bad. Acrylamide is in the crust of the cheesecakes, which means that it must be removed, or you should not roast them too much, but only brown them. A second option to neutralize acrylamide is to serve the dish with fresh berries or fruit. Juice or soda? Do you think it's probably best to drink orange juice in the morning? Wrong. The vitamin drink is actually a risk factor for diabetes. The fact is that the sugar from the juice instantly enters the blood, the glucose level in the blood rises accordingly. The pancreas suddenly begins to drive insulin, and in order to neutralize this sugar, it works at breakdown. And as a result, it becomes depleted. This is why the habit of drinking one glass of supposedly healthy juice on an empty stomach in the morning can lead to diabetes. Juices from packages, by the way, are even worse, they contain a lot of glucose and preservatives. As for breakfast, it is better to replace the orange juice with the orange itself. The juice will enter the stomach gradually, and the pulp will give a feeling of fullness. If you are used to drinking plain water in the morning, it is better to replace it with soda, according to Leo Beccaria. But not sweet. The oxygen dissolved in carbonated water destroys many bacteria in the stomach and thus improves the intestinal microflora. Conclusion. We can draw the following conclusions from the Nutritional Conspiracy Theory program. Skipping breakfast, as the proverb says, is really not an option. Those who prefer traditional English should choose coarse oatmeal and cook it exclusively in water. As for drinks, neither coffee nor orange juice should be consumed. Coffee is allowed only half an hour after a meal, and juice is best replaced by carbonated unsweetened water. But the main thing is not to forget that in addition you need to consult a doctor, going to change the long-standing, but as it turned out, not healthy morning habits. After all, from the abrupt change of even bad habits to healthy ones, there may come a certain period of habituation in which you may feel even a little worse than before. But at the same time, and should not be afraid, of course change your habits to healthier, only gradually, and do not forget to share with us your thoughts on a healthy breakfast. And also wait for the new series of videos about healthy eating and other conspiracy theory summaries. And friend, don't forget to subscribe to the Summary Club for becoming more successful, educated, kinder and wiser every day. Save hundreds of hours and dollars spending on boring regular education. Feel free to write your opinions and questions about each video. We read all the comments. In addition, go to our official website where you can find reading materials or watch other videos on channel and links in the description. All the best.